Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to another edition of your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and I have many dabs to take with you tonight. I did not make that many videos, but I have many dabs to take with you. Tonight's top of the news is, it is all but certain that humans will go extinct. Top story tonight. I was talking with a friend. My friend just got back from Florida, and I was in the process of cutting videos for tonight's show. I capture videos all day long onto the computer, off the cable box, and like Israeli news, BBC news, French news, local news, and then whatever's left. So I capture videos all day, and then in the evening before like a couple hours before we start the show, I cut the videos up. I make sure they start at the right place and they end at the right place. I make sure that they're the right amount of brightness. I make sure they're the right amount of color. I make sure that the sound levels aren't too high, and then I render them so they look like that. They start and finish at the right place. And so I was in the process of rendering videos. My friend called up. He just got back from Florida, a week in Florida, on the beach, and and he needed to vent for like an hour. So it really messed up my rendering and cutting of videos. That being said, it was really a good conversation. I didn't want to cut it short. Like I said, he needed to vent. He was talking about how he's like, why do rednecks gotta be so damn friendly? He said everywhere he went, it was like, hey, how you doing? Where you from? And he said he would get up in the morning early because it's way too hot there, and he'd go out on the beach and he'd fly his drone. I understand he got us some good drone footage, and he says out there flying his drone one morning, and this guy rolls up in his big old truck, and he's like, hey, what you flying there? And he said, I got this kind of drone, and the guy goes, yeah, I'm flying one of these other, he said it was, nice drone. And he said, then the guy pulls this inflatable kayak out of his truck, and he goes, hey, I got the same kayak, and in Seattle. And the guy says, well, I'm only going to use it for a little bit, and I'm going to leave it here on the beach. So if you want to use it, go ahead and feel free. He said, if my family's over here and you want to use it, just say, hey, Dan said it was okay, and I'm just going to take it out for a little spin for a few minutes. You're like, why the hell rednecks got to be so friendly? Hello, caller.
Hey, Max.
Hey, Manny. Why you got to interrupt story time, man? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm kidding.
No, it's a Friday. It's a Friday for a top.
And?
So you think we're gonna die?
The one now?
What do you think is gonna happen?
What do you mean? I think everything's gonna shut down, man. Or a judge will come along and go, okay, we gotta fucking sort this out before everything shuts down. One of the two things.
I mean, you're talking about a religious perspective, like what is it called? I forgot this name where only the chosen ones are going to heaven, and the worthy ones stays on earth, and then it was tribulation or something like that. That could happen if you're a religious person. But if you're not a religious person, I believe we're going to be like in the Matrix. Eventually, all the humans will join in this singularity, and we're going to be connected like in the Matrix. Have you seen the Matrix?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not positive.
If you have HBO Max, I recommend you to watch it.
I'm just not a fan of Keanu. I don't watch Keanu Reeves movies. Not a fan of Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, I mean, that's a fair point about Keanu Reeves. He used to play very dumb characters, and currently he plays Neo or the
It's
Matrix.
not the dumb characters. It's I remember seeing him. I liked him in Point Break. I think that was the first movie I saw him in. I thought that was pretty good. And then and he made this movie with Al Pacino where he plays an attorney, and then he's outsmarts the devil, right,
Oh,
Satan. And I just
Yeah.
can't. It's impossible for me to imagine Keanu Reeves outsmarting the Lucifer. So that kind of ruined the whole thing for me.
I actually saw that movie when I was a kid, when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
It was kind of shocking, though. Like, he was telling, like, you should have sex with your own cousin or something like that to procreate the Antichrist. I was like, what the hell? What was that? But yeah, that was a long time ago, like 20 years ago. That's an old movie. That's like a 90s movie right there.
Yeah, I don't
Anyway.
recommend it.
Well, for a kid, no, but an adult, maybe. Anyway, the character is not the what I recommend you. I'm talking about the story, the background behind the Matrix. Like how we are connected to the machine, to feed electricity to the machine city. So the humans are connected to the machines because the machines are using us as a source of energy. So in order to keep us live, the humans are connected to a simulation called the Matrix.
Uh-huh.
It's a very interesting movie, man, and I highly recommend you to watch it though, because there's a lot of philosophical stuff. Well, I think if you look into a more realistic, atheist way of thinking when it comes to the extinction of humans, I don't think humans will be extinct. I think humans will join some sort of matrix, some sort of singularity, where the humans.
That's pretty much the same thing, man. I mean, look, that's pretty much the same thing, but it's really not about whether humans will go extinct or not. At this point, I think there's little doubt, and that the point is what happens to the planet when humans go extinct. This perfect little blue-green jewel that obviously we turned into a giant toilet.
You know what? And I became a little curious about that. We're gonna go into some sort of ice age because the planet got so used to pollutants and stuff like that that artificially warmed the planet. And when all the humans are gone, there's no more pollutants. The skies are gonna be more clear. There's gonna be less pollution.
Are you talking about after man is extinct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way, man. There's how many nuclear reactors are there on the planet, right? How many offshore oil wells are there? Okay, the planet's fucking ruined. The existence of every single living creature on this planet is tied directly to the survival of mankind. There is no way around it.
That's true, though. But let's assume that the oil wells that tap and the nuclear powers stay isolated. I think we want to go back into an ice age.
Yeah, I imagine if all the nuclear reactors on the planet melt down, that I just don't know what that means, Manny. So.
But even if they melt down, Mox, I don't know if you follow what happened in Chernobyl. After the meltdown, all the animals, they got radiation sickness and stuff.
Chernobyl's one small reactor. Okay, we're talking about all the reactors on the planet. How about the nuclear weapons then? If that's not good enough, from what I understand, it takes 4 ICM nuclear warheads to be exploded in the proper 4 places around the planet, and we will be perpetually propelled into forever winter.
Yeah, that's true.
So, this is just, I want to, look at, I don't have all that great, I really don't care if humans go extinct. Because if you can't see it coming and do something about it, and you're at the top of the food chain with the big brain who's able to make anything happen they want on the planet, and you see this coming and you do nothing about it, you probably deserve to go extinct.
I don't know, but I see the Matrix theory more a reality that will just disappear. It's just going to become a singularity.
Singularity. You like that word, huh?
Huh. You know what a singularity means? It means like, well, in terms of computer science, it means that all individuals
All what?
become part of the collective. All individuals become part of the collective. Everyone is going to be attached like a network cable or something, like a network computer. All the humans are going to be connected to a single system,
Yeah.
and we all going to be sharing
Yeah.
the same consciousness.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Actually, I kind of like the idea. I'd like to have a singularity where we overthrow the U.S. government. That would be awesome.
I mean, governments will not be able to exist anymore because we are single entity now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the planet itself will gain consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not joking, Mark. I'm serious. That's what I was actually thinking about. Like, what would happen if we actually become a single entity, though? I mean, if we're able to manipulate silicon, the element silicon, to store energy and to compute and to make all these weird, crazy calculations, I mean, it's just going to be a matter of time before we can actually manipulate all the elements as well.
No, that's not true.
With the other metals. Yeah, we can do that.
No, it's not true. We can't do that. And what, I mean, the point is that if we can do it, then we could do it now. And it's, I mean, the storing information in silicon, I believe, may be something that has potential to make happen. But I just being in control of these metals is highly unlikely, dude.
I mean, there has been potential in carbon, graphite.
Yeah.
We can store memory. We can store energy in graphite.
I hear you. I know you're thinking ahead. That's the important part, Manny.
Yeah. I mean, what about if we can actually manipulate other elements to doing the same thing, though? Eventually, we don't need to be connecting all these cables and all of these, I don't know, weird silicon copper things, though. Eventually, the Earth itself is going to be like a huge computer / memory center.
Yeah, like 5G.
The Earth itself is going to be the conscious.
Yeah, and you'd be good with that idea, huh?
Well, that's what the singularity theory is all about.
Yeah.
That eventually the Earth itself is going to be a living thing because, and they believe that eventually the Earth is going to be, we're going to be able to manipulate all the elements to computer process and store memory. And eventually the Earth and all the elements, it's going to become like a single consciousness.
Well, we'll see, Manny. I like the singularity idea. I really do, because people need to come together somehow, and I don't see it happening a lot of other ways. I think that's the only chance for survival of mankind, humans. And again, it's really important to all the other creatures that humans somehow make it. And that's why it's so important to me. I just can't imagine losing this catalog of unique beings. All right, man, I gotta take a break. I need a bong hit real bad.
All right, man. I think my ideas were too much for you, so now you have to take a bong hit in order to deal with it.
No, I needed a bong hit. I needed a bong hit before we started, so you know.
Okay. All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay. And I did need a bong hit before we started. The thing is that, again, I was super pressed for time. Honestly, I think I started almost a whole minute late. Never do that. And I apologize about the show missed time on the show. I set the date, and for whatever reason, the time didn't get set correctly. So Sorry about
Well,
that.
it's just 3:30 though. I was actually waiting for. I was actually.
So, to let you know, that's what happened. Now, I will not assimilate, Mitchell. Nice to see you. And you know I will not assimilate, Mitchell. I am so ready for a bong hit, boys and girls. Like I said, I'm sorry, my little ninjas. I don't like breaking things down along this gender line. But when I say my little ninjas, there's no gender line. I like that, my little ninjas. So, I have a video here that's 30 seconds long. I don't know if that's long enough to heat up the bong, but it's worth a try. Let me see. Yeah, let's do that one. So let me get everything in place. In case you'd like to join me, I'm going to get a bong hit ready now. And if you'd like to call, the number's there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. And I would love to hear what you think. See, the earth for me is a living, caring, feeling being. And there's a lot of them. Manny was talking about the elements. I talk to water all the time. Because I know that there's sentientness, that the water is a sentient being. I know it. So, and I believe that the earth is the same way. So this is the thing about Earth for me, you know, is I just don't want her to be hurt. I don't want all her lovely little creatures, you know. I love the squirrels, I love the bunnies, I love the birds. You hear me talk about them all the time. And they don't deserve to get fucked just because man does, you know. So that's one of my that's really my only concern when it comes to this issue. All right, this is 30 seconds long. I'm going to see if it's long enough to light the bong. I know it isn't, but we'll be back momentarily. Get your bongs heated up now.
A top administrator with the Carroll Independent School District in South Lake, Texas, reportedly told teachers to include Holocaust books with, quote, opposing views in their classrooms.
Just try to remember the concepts of 3979 and make sure that if you have a book on the Holocaust, that you have one that has opposing, that has other.
How do you oppose the Holocaust?
NBC News obtained that audio recording from a meeting where the district discussed how to comply with the new state law, which limits conversations about race and history in schools. The superintendent apologized for the comment and recognized there are not two sides to the Holocaust. Lawmakers say the school misinterpreted the law.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I need a bong hit. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I actually had a good day. I got outside and I did some work. Guess I was productive, which means I'm a good person. And yeah, what I did is I removed cedar flags from people's driveways and their lawns today.
Huh.
And a lot, when a lot of people think of the Pacific Northwest, Mike, they think of these evergreen trees, and they are. They're coniferous trees, and they do drop leaves, and they turn orange, and their leaflets drop, but they stay green. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so that's what I did today. But I was outdoors, and it was a beautiful afternoon.
Right on. It was nice. It was very warm, dude. I was surprised how warm it was.
Yeah, it was kind of nice today. I've been reading about our weather patterns in the Pacific Northwest in the last 24 hours, and I know I hate to be gloomy, and you're not gloomy about anything, so that's all cool. But La Nina is happening, and what that means is that we have wetter weather and cooler weather. So it's it's same as last year, and there's been like 10 examples in the last 50 years of where they've doubled up. We've got La Nina 2 years in a row. So it means that we're going to have a wet winter and that we'll have a cool winter, which means that we might have snow. And if you remember, last year we had like a 14-inch snowfall. At least we did here in Olympia. We had 14-inch snowfall, which only happens about every like 5 or 10 years, but you know, we could have more significant snowfall this year because of La Nina.
We have the banana belt here, and it always kind of keeps a warm stream coming in from Hawaii, so that's what I really like.
It's nice. I love a temperate rainforest where we live. It's beautiful. No qualms whatsoever. There were a few things here. Topic tonight. What's going to happen to Mother Earth when people go extinct? Just a few things to put in perspective, right? Because that's important. Is that the Earth itself is 4.5 billion years old. All right, that's when the Earth was formed. And remember, a billion years is 1,000 million years. And then 377 billion years ago was the first life on Earth in the ocean. And that, so in other words, life formed within 1 billion years after the initial formation of the Earth, right? Mm-hmm. But then, the oldest human remains ever found, and this number has been constantly pushed back. Like when you and I were in school in the 70s and the 80s, they had way different numbers, Mike. But the oldest human remains that have been found thus far are 315,000 years old.
Huh.
So
wow, I didn't realize they're that old.
Yeah, and the odd thing about it is they were found in Morocco, in a cave in Morocco. Like, you think of Morocco, you think of hash, right? I do. It, you know, balmy weather and beautiful beaches. It's from Morocco. It's a long goddamn ways away from Ethiopia and Kenya, which is where they had been finding these old bones before, right, of humans. So humans made it to the edge of Africa and the edge of the Mediterranean Sea 300,000 years ago. However, in the big scheme of things, you know, 4.5 billion years, that ain't shit, right? Okay, the oldest human art, like the oldest art ever fucking created by human beings, is between 50 and 100,000 years old. So the oldest expression, you know, that's like an idea expressed in art is only 100,000 years old. It's interesting, right? Okay, oldest agriculture. That's when we stopped and fucking grew a plant and said, hey man, we're gonna like take care of this and make sure we can harvest whatever the fuck this is, right? Most scientists thought that number was 12,000 years, but there is evidence from Israel on the coast of the Sea of Galilee, of all fucking places, of the earliest evidence of farming in the Middle East, which was 23,000 years ago. And this is from ScienceDaily.com, you know, 2015.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if it was considerably longer than that either.
Yeah, so they.
I mean, if there's art at 100,000 years old, then how is it that they're not growing food by the time, you know, by the time they're creating art? I would think that growing food would be much more important than creating art, even though, you know, it seems like an odd thing. I would bet that humans started growing food way before that, if they're 350,000 years old, like you're saying.
315,000 years, and that's the outs right now. But it could be longer than that. That's correct, Mike. But what I'm saying is that, like, this is an excerpt from that article called Science Daily, and it's the name of the website, and the article is called First Evidence of Farming in the Middle East 23,000 years ago. And this is the conclusion. It says, early gatherers. This place on the Sea of Galilee bears the remains of 6 shelters and a particularly rich assemblage of plants. Under retrieving and examining approximately 150,000 plant specimens, the researchers determined that early humans there had gathered over 140 species of plants These included 13 known weed-mixed and edible cereals like wild emmer, wild barley, and wild oats. The researchers found a grinding slab, a stone tool with which cereal starches granules were extracted, as well as a distribution of seeds around the tool, reflecting that the cereal grains were processed for consumption. The large number of cereals showing specific kinds of scars on their seeds indicate the likelihood of these cereals growing in fields, and the presence of sickle blades indicates these people deliberately planned the harvest of the cereal. The new study offers evidence that early people clearly functioned with a basic knowledge of agriculture, and perhaps more importantly exhibited foresight and extensive agricultural planning far earlier than previously believed. That's the excerpt from that article. But Mike,
I would be shocked if it wasn't like more like 50,000 years old. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the point being though is that this phenomena of agriculture, which is like us stopping and growing weed and growing cereal and growing fucking vegetables and all the things we need to live, growing the stuff for our animals as well, all of this stuff. This is pretty goddamn recent. It only happened like 15 to 50,000 years ago, Mike. It isn't that recent. It isn't that far away. And if you do the math, if you do like an average life of a human being, it's like, you know, it's 75 years in the United 77 years in the United States today, right? Okay. However, over time, that number might have been only 40, right? Yeah. And if you do the amount of generations and you do the math and you go 315,000 divided by, 45 or 50, right? It comes out to only like 4,000 generations since that time. So since people, there have only been 4,000 generations. And that's a number that, like, you and I can think of that number in our heads. Like, I mean, you've sold weed before, Mike.
No, that's not true.
Well, maybe that isn't true.
People keep trying to get. Look, when I was on TV, I had 100 people a week that I had no idea who they were, and they would call me and just beg me to sell them weed. And I was like, I don't
be presumptuous about that. I just meant that I have sold weed in my life. I'll just speak for myself, and as a consequence of that, I understand what the number 4,000 means, right? Like, I know how many 4,000
a generation. Right? A generation is 20 years, right?
No, I was using a conservative number of about 40 or 50 years, right there.
Oh, okay. I understand a generation to be considered 20 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, a generation is, but people's life expectancy is what I'm talking about. How long do people live?
Yeah, I got you.
I would guess that, like, in older times, people lived shorter lives. And a lot of that has to do with math, because kids died real quickly. If your kids weren't cared for, or if they were born, they had an issue, they died. And then people survived.
Or if they don't shut up! Go ahead.
Yeah, but they made it at least to a certain point. And so I'm saying it's only been so many thousand generations of people, Mike. And this thing with agriculture is pretty new. And then the thing with, like, machines is really fucking new. Like, that's like 1800. I'm talking about, like, the steam engine and railroads and using combustion engines to transport things. Yeah. That's really fucking new. Yeah. And if you look at, like, global population growth, like how many people there are, in 1800, Napoleon, fucking the American Revolution, there were 1 billion people on Earth. Now, there are over like 7.6 or 7.7 billion people on Earth. Mm-hmm. So the number increased like by 7 times in 200 years. And as a species, Mike, we're 300,000 years old.
Like rats. So you people are like rats. Go ahead.
So something fucking
not
and
you,
I want to
not
say
you.
right now, Mike, I have the greatest respect for you for not having children. I mean that. And I know
that's just very selfish, okay? I'm just like, not gonna happen. Go ahead.
Hey, whatever. Fuck you. I don't have kids either, and I frankly have a respect for you, Mike, because of that. And I know that Craig has a kid, and only one, and I understand that. But I'm saying you specifically, Michael, I respect you for not having any children. All right, I don't either. And I think that like the worst thing you could do at this point in time is bring more people onto the planet when we're already like 7 times over our like capacity to deal with people.
And I'll tell you,
just
one
being
of the
honest with you.
one of the reasons that I've always not said that I wasn't going to have kids is because it was, why would you bring this beautiful, innocent, pure thing into this place that's, just like a sewer, and it's not going to last,
Well, so like I told you, like the story of my best friend. I met him in 1990. He was a close friend of mine until like 2010, and he became a heroin addict. And he ended up like losing 2 of his children to the state, confiscated from him by the state for being a drug addict, a heroin addict. And he had to leave the state because of an outstanding warrant. I haven't seen him in like 10 years. But I'm just saying, when the state can take your children away from you and give them to other people, and that's just the way it works. Like I don't get it. Like right there's a problem as far as I'm concerned. Like
there's
bringing
a problem.
children into this.
There's
a big fucking problem.
There is a very serious problem right now.
And then when you mix capitalism in with it, Mike, and the fact that like I probably use about like I'll be honest, about $15,000 worth of stuff in a year that I need to live, right? Period. But what I'm saying is, if you take that and every kid you have and you multiply that times like 5, that's how much shit they're going to consume when they're born into this world. So you say, like, I only consume so much plastic. I only consume so much glass. I only consume so much oil. I only consume so much XYZ, right? Information, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You bring a child or 2 or 3 or 4 into the world, you multiply that times 1, 2, 3, or 4. You know what I'm saying?
At least.
And I feel guilty about that shit, Mike.
Another thing about it was when I was like in 1980, right? It cost the cost to have a kid, from the time they're born until they became a doctor was over $1 million. That was in 1980. I was like, yeah, if you can't give them the best you can give them, that's not good enough either. So there's no way I'm going to have a kid besides the whole sewer thing. Go ahead.
I watched this YouTube channel called Leto, LEHTO.com. He's a lawyer, and he like looks at these extreme abuses of civil liberties, and he like bitches about it on his YouTube page. Basically, that's what he does. And one of the things he talked about recently was student loan debt, and somebody who had like beat the student loan companies because she had $350,000 in debt. And she used the legal system as a way to protect herself. Like I didn't have any opportunity ever in my life to make any opportunity. I can't pay this money back. Like, give me a break, right? But if she had borrowed like $500,000 on a credit card, Mike, she could have declared bankruptcy and just been like off the hook, right?
Yeah.
Because she was. So I mean, the way everything is set up is like. I can't really see like you said, the cost. If you have a kid that's really smart and you think they have some kind of aptitude in science and you want them to go into medical science, this person is a doctor. I look at her and she tells me I'm a doctor, and she's like 7 years old, right? And just knowing that person is not going to be able to fulfill her potential because you're poor.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself into that situation.
Yeah.
And I hate watching my friends in the working class who have beautiful children who are extraordinarily intelligent, and they never have those opportunities ever because of this fucking classist capitalist system that we live under that says that if you have wealth, you can give it to your kid, and then your kid has all these advantages. Well, that's great, but like you look at the system as it's set up, it doesn't work, Mike. It's like it's a fucking mess, man. I would never want to subject any person to what I've been experienced and what other people have experienced, and that's watching like the end of the world. I don't like watching the end of the world, but I do it every day. It sucks.
It's unfortunate. At the same time, I think that the vast majority of us chose to come here at this time because it's this amazing thing that's about to happen, and it doesn't happen very often in the universe. So it's like we came here to witness this, and it wouldn't be overly. I just I get it. I feel bad. I love the Earth. I think that's a big part of it too. Is I used to tell people all the time that I'm here in my last incarnation. Because I just wanted to spend a little more time with the Earth, and because something amazing is about to happen. I'm telling you. That's why I came here. Something amazing is about to happen.
Well, you and I live in a rainforest, Mike. But like, I moved here like in 1990. Like that's when I first moved here.
When I say why I came here, I'm talking about Earth. Go ahead.
Oh no, I hear you totally. Like the big picture, but I'm talking about like the regional picture, like the Pacific Northwest, right? And ever since I've moved here, like I've always appreciated the woods. I always, I appreciate the national forest and like the ocean and all of the natural opportunities that like are provided by where I live, because it's so fucking beautiful, right? But what I often overlook is that like how many times I drive down a forest road and I see a clear cut, or like how many times like I drive right outside of the view shed. A view shed is like 100 yards away from the road that shows these beautiful trees, and then once you get on the other side of that 100 yards, it's just all fucking cut, like a clear cut, right?
Yeah.
And that's if you drive across Washington, you'll realize that's what's going on. Like,
it's really weird. Is when you're driving down the freeway, it's like they'll have like 100 feet of trees, thick, and then behind that there's no trees. It's kind of fucked up.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's some parts of the state, like here in southwest Washington, from between I-5 and the ocean, where there's just like literally millions of acres that are owned by a timber company. And when you drive along the road, it's just like 50 feet, you see trees, and then beyond that, it's all cut.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, right? So, and this is like now. This is like now. This isn't like 100 years ago. This is now. So I know damn well that like if I had kids, right, and say they managed to live like 50 years longer than me or something, they would see nothing, They would see a tree forest is what it is. Weyerhaeuser is just a tree forest. So they cut all those trees down, and then they grow a monoculture of the exact same tree over like 20 million acres or something, and it's the exact same fucking tree, and there's no life except for the one goddamn tree that they're growing, right?
Uh-huh.
And the reason I mention this, Mike, is it's no different than where I grew up. And I know there's a lot of disdain towards the Midwest. People don't understand what it's like to live in between fields of corn and soybeans. Like, they don't get it, right? But I grew up in
it's
Rockford,
really
Illinois.
difficult to get that. I mean, it's it's not like something that it's not like you can watch a movie and understand what it means,
Yeah, well, Children of the Corn is not really a great explanation of what it's like to grow up in the Midwest. All right, it isn't fair. Although there's some beauty in the movie Halloween, there's beauty in the fields and in like the quiet of the countryside, but it's much different than a forest. But the reason I mention this is there was a story in my local newspaper where I grew up. I delivered this newspaper as a 11-year-old boy. It's called the Rockford Register-Star. And on September 24th, they ran a story about an expansion that's occurring near the airport. So Rockford is about 90 miles away from Chicago, Mike. It's not really in Chicagoland. It's a city of itself.
Yeah,
but it had an airport.
I've been there. I'm pretty sure I've been there.
Yeah, but it has an airport. But in the last 20 years, the airport has really just become part of the regional Chicago airport system. So they're expanding the airport, and they're going to destroy a 25-acre site of indigenous plants, right? So these are plants that are like native prairie plants,
Yeah.
like grasses and flowers that are growing in this place that has never been developed ever. So it's like never had a till, grow corn or soybeans. It's just fucking wild space, right? And I saw this, and I want to share this with you really quickly. It says, from the former director of the Burpee Museum of Natural History said, the Natural Land Institute trustee said the Bell Bowl Prairie, which they're disturbing, is one of the best preserved pieces of property in Illinois, a state that had 22 million acres of quality prairie before European settlers, 22 millions of quality prairie before European settlers arrived. The last number I could find, there were 2,350 acres of the 22 million acres remaining. So when European settlers, the British and the French, showed up in Illinois in like 1750 or something, or 1800, right? There were 22 million acres, Mike, of prairie. And today, out of that, 2021, there's only 2,350 acres of undisturbed prairie left where I grew up. I know you grew up near Morro Bay, near the ocean, and we talked about oil spills at the ocean. But I'm just trying to tell you that out of 22 million acres of undisturbed prairie,
Yeah.
only 2,000 acres remain in Illinois.
Yeah, that's horrible, dude. And they're gonna take those 2,000 acres and destroy them.
And build a fucking airport,
Yeah.
so that FedEx and cargo planes can fly 70 miles away from O'Hare and make all their destinations. And they're going to expand an airport and destroy 25 or 30 acres of undisturbed prairie. But my point being is that 60 years from now, Mike, when we're dead, you and I are gone. But 60 years from now, some kid in northern Illinois, right, they're never going to even know, ever, that those 30 acres of undisturbed prairie were gone. They're never going to even know it was there.
Yeah.
It's not even going to be in their memory. And it's the same with the old growth forest in the Pacific Northwest, where I live. Where I love to go hiking, like I told you earlier in the year, is in these places with 500, 600-year-old trees that are mixed with 200-year-old trees that are mixed with 75-year-old trees, and they're all of these different kinds of trees growing in one. That's my favorite place to go. But you can see my point. I personally think, Mike, we're an invasive species. Humans are. And we just destroy everything that we touch. And it's been that way for 50,000 years.
I mean, it's horrible. I can't imagine thinking that. I just
That
think.
drives you nuts. Yeah. I've had a couple of friends who've offed themselves, and it drives a person nuts.
Right, but the thing is, I mean, when you look at Native Americans, they don't seem to be like an invasive species,
No, but they have the highest alcoholism rates of all people in the United States.
Currently.
So think about it. I always heard that Native Americans.
I'm talking about 1,000 years ago or whatever. They weren't. If you look at how they live, they don't seem like they're not fucking burning down forest and plowing everything under and killing all the buffalo.
They controlled their numbers for 12,000 years.
Yeah.
All right. They controlled their population for 12,000 years.
Yeah.
So it means they were able to live here without destroying themselves and every other animal around them for 12,000 years. We've only been here, European settlers, for 500 years, Mike, and we have fucked everything up in 500 years.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, are you saying that the Native Americans are different species?
No. They have a different value system. They have different ethics.
Well, okay. So you said humans are an invasive species. So I don't believe that, and I think the Native Americans are a good example. Go ahead.
No. I didn't mean to imply that they were weaker or something. They're people, obviously. We're all people. But just looking, but in terms of like something happened, and I think it's capitalism, like personally, and I think it also goes back to the agricultural revolution, like, you know, empires that existed 5,000 years ago, where like people start cutting land up into pieces and they start accepting ownership of the land,
Yeah.
which means they're responsible for the land. And that means that anything else, any other animals, any other people, fuck you. It's my land. Mine. Don't you understand what my land is? And I think that is the beginning of all of this bullshit. But it's gotten to the point where we have so many fucking people on this planet, Mike, that like, seriously, it's out of control. There's no way, like whether you live in Morro Bay or San Francisco, or you live in Seattle, or you live in Chicago, or you live in Miami, or you live in New York, it doesn't matter where you fucking live in this country, or Texas, it doesn't fucking matter, right? It's not, this system is not sustainable. And I don't think we're going to, there have been like 5 extinction events on Earth. The last one was 65 million years ago, Mike, when an asteroid pummeled into the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico and it extinguished like 75 or 85% of the life on Earth. This is not what we're talking about. Like, we're just going to kill ourselves and a couple of other like high animals on the totem pole, and we're going to take out ourselves and other animals that require like sophisticated biodiversity to live. But mushrooms,
No.
mollusks.
Everything on the planet's gonna die.
Well, we'll see, Mike. I think we're going to kill ourselves.
How many nuclear reactors are there on the planet?
About 1,000 is what I think.
I think that there's more than that.
Even with those going off, it still doesn't mean that like basic life forms like algae and mushrooms and like lichen and stuff like that, there'll be life, but it'll start over from zero. So we'll go back like 455 million years and start at zero.
Well, I hope that that's true. I hope that that's true.
You're an optimist. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I believe anything can happen. That's what I believe. Unfortunately, I guess 455 million years, you might be able to heal from that. I mean, we don't really know what the life of, a meltdown is going to be. So, but...
No, I didn't mean to like I don't mean to romanticize indigenous culture either, like the native, the romantic savages who had everything right. But in terms of like population, like I've seen numbers that said there could have been 50 million people in North America before contact, which means that like through disease and war we killed like 50 million people.
Yeah.
I've seen other numbers that said 5 million people, and other numbers that said 100 million people. But these numbers are never corroborated. I mean, there's no evidence to prove how many people were here or weren't here. But nevertheless, European conquerors like the Viking, Nordic bullshit warriors and their Catholic associates killed a lot of fucking people in the New World. And that's fact. Like 90% of them died.
Yeah.
But I do think, Mike, that they probably had a more balanced, like I don't think it was Greta Thunberg style, World Economic Forum style of sustainability, but they had achieved sustainability, and we can't do it, man. There's no way we can do it. Our economic system is like all about technology solving their problems. Technology is not going to solve this problem. Climate change, I believe, is real. And population growth, I also believe, is real. I don't think the solutions that are being offered by corporate America are right. They're not.
They're not offering solutions.
They're not offering solutions. They're trying to exploit the situation to sell product. But those things are real. And they can try to solve the problem with technology as much as they want. It's not going to fucking solve the problem. So
again, they're not trying to solve the problem. They're acting acting. They're getting
Right.
tons of government money to pretend like they're attempting to solve the problem. They don't want to solve the problem.
Well,
The
like-
problem, the never-ending flow of pollution serves them very, very well. To solve the problem means get money out of their, income, and they're not about to do that.
Yeah. But as a species, Mike, as I mentioned, we're 315, as far as we know, 315,000-year-old people that are anatomically exactly like we are, right? And for all of this shit to happen so suddenly, like in the last 500 years, is intense. And it almost begs the question of alien intervention. Because how do you destroy the planet? Create some megalomaniacal monkeys and human beings. They'll figure it out. Believe me, they'll destroy the planet quickly. Give them a little technology, right?
Yeah.
But we have so many kids. We think that we can solve all things because we're the smartest. We're the top of the food chain, as you say. And in fact, all we're doing is killing off all the other life forms on the planet. And we're doing it really quickly. So I don't know what to do. I think it's a question of values and morals, though. It's not a question of technology. It's not like, can we make big mirrors to bounce light back to the sun? No, it's not. That's not the answer. The answer is, can we change our values and the deep things inside of us to protect Mother Earth, like to recognize that we are just like the animals and the trees and the plants that are around us. We're part of the environment. We separated ourselves from the natural world, thousands of years ago. And the question is are we going to be able to bring ourselves back to the natural world? And be honest, like both of us and everyone it can say no. Their lifestyles are not in balance with like the global harmonium or whatever. It just isn't fucking happening.
I think the infrastructure there is not there to be balanced. Again, the people who are keeping things this way. They pretend like they're trying to find the new way with algae and alternative energies. They're not. What they're doing is getting tons of government money to do this campaign to make the people believe that they're trying to find new sources so we can be better in the future. That's not what they're doing. They're just getting money from the government.
Exactly. And they scorn people like yourself and me who choose voluntarily, and women especially, who choose not to have children. And they scorn people like Occupy Wall Street that question the authenticity of the banks, and they scorn people who really just question whether or not I want to participate in this. Frankly, I do not. A lot of people look. I had this person contact me who I hadn't talked to in 30 years, Mike. And I avoid Facebook and all these different mediums. And she's basically said, how are you? And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to explain to a person after 35 years?
Which is exactly why I answer fine. That's what I would recommend. You should send back in capital letters, each word spaced, one space, fine, with ... at the end.
I know. It's the right answer. Yes, it's the right answer. But the real answer is I don't know if you realize this, but I had a transformation of how I look at the world. And after I knew you, I made a decision that I don't want to participate in this world at all. And the least I participate, the better I feel because I'm not participating with evil. What do you think about that? I can't really send that in an email, Mike, because I'll end up on the terrorist watch list for the fucking 17th time, which is irrelevant. But I mean, that's where you're at, I think. I appreciate your program and your insight, Mike, and I'm going to look forward to other folks calling and hearing what they have to talk about, in terms of Mother Earth and our relationship as a species with the planet. And I mean that. And I always love your commentary, so thank you very much.
All right, it's good to hear from you, Chris. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
Peace, Mike. Peace.
All right, so I'm going to play a video momentarily. I have a cup of tea that I need to heat up, and I got to heat up the bong because I owe Jackie Cat a big fat dab because once again, she is the only person to donate this week because she's so wonderful. if you'd like me to do a dab in your honor, it's easy to give a donation. I'll put some links in the chat momentarily. I wanted to say, this thing about I don't know how to hang on, and and everything is despair. When I say these things again about humans going extinct, I probably should set it up so that you can understand where I'm at and where I believe you're at, even though you don't know it. I believe that we come to this planet by choice. We go, hey, I want to go experience food. I call it sensual Disneyland, right? You go, I want to go to sensual Disneyland, right? The blue, green, jewel earth, right? Sight, sounds, textures, smells, food, and cannabis, and sex, and so many other things, right? And so I believe, because I think, it's possible that we don't have a lot of those things in the places that people come from. So we go, hey, you know what? You call a bunch of friends and you go, hey, I'm going to go to Earth. I'm going to get laid. And they go, wow, that sounds like a really good idea. And a bunch of your friends go to Earth, and these are what you call soulmates. And they cross your path regularly. And so you want to be open to people. This is one of the reasons I say hi to everyone. Besides, again, it's just easier. I can't stand this, like I don't see anyone. It's just me. I can't deal with that. But again, it's you choose to come here. And at this time, when there's 7 billion people here, and the world is in, the human race is preparing for some kind of a major collapse, let's say. I think people choose to come here because it's what I'm saying. Something amazing is about to happen. And that's the reason there's so many people here right now, because they came to witness this amazing thing that happens very rarely. So when you're thinking about how desperate it is and how everything is, doom and gloom, and think about the fact that you came here to witness something. And it might be the mass extinction of an entire planet, because the Earth is so perfect and humans are so smart and they just let it go. Right? It would be like this amazing thing. It would be like, how the hell? But at the same time, at this height of civilization, right? I'm saying sight, sounds, taste, textures, food, sex, bathing, laying in the sun. It just is endless, okay? At the height of where we at as a civilization, not only is the world full of these never-ending bombardment of sensation. It's like here living in the United States, we can go, oh, I want Thai food, oh, I want Italian food, oh, I want everything you can think of, right? Oh, I want to listen to all this different music. Oh, I want to experience all this art, right? Which is all at everybody's fingertips at this point. Pretty much every piece of art ever made is at your fingertips. And so this is another reason, why people are here, why people are coming here. But overall, I think it's like something huge, like just, again, something that almost never happens in the entire universe, right? And so don't think of it as so much as a negative thing that humans are going to go extinct. It's cool, man. Enjoy the ride. Let's have a little party. I do feel bad for the Earth. I do feel bad for all the little creatures, because it's not their fault, At the same time, again, I chose to come here, and I didn't choose to come here to feel sorrow, at least not me. I know a lot of people like sad movies, right? So I think that's they're kind of drawn to that life. I like cartoons, and that's probably where I get my goofy laugh from. So I'm going to play this video now, and I'm going to go heat up my tea, and I will be back in just a minute. Okay? Thanks so much for tuning in. And I'll have a big fat dab for Jackie Cat when I get back. And if you'd like me to do a dab in your honor, it is Dabs for Donations Friday. And I will put clickable links in the text body. Actually, there's already clickable links in the text body. But I'll put them in the chat if you're interested. Otherwise, yeah, don't worry about it. It's just a thing we do in case anybody wants to say, hey, here you go, bud. Because it's nice when people do that. And I see people all the time, all day long. They're playing slot machines, and people are just like donating. They got a camera on a slot machine, and they're pulling the handle. Or I guess you don't pull handles anymore. You don't even pull handle. You push the button. Push the button. Push the button. And they're getting tip, tip, tip. I'm like, what? It's okay. It's okay. I love being with you guys. I love doing this. And I will do it. I will do it for a little while longer. Who knows how long we will go? Only the wizard can tell for sure. I'll be back in a minute for a big dab with Jackie Cat. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Welcome to this Friday edition of the show. There is a new article out in Politico this week about Hunter Biden, and it does not paint a flattering picture. In it, Ben Schreckinger writes that the case for scrutiny of Hunter Biden's personal affairs only grows stronger when viewed in the full context of the family's story and in light of events that have unfolded since Election Day. For years, Republicans have crowed about a number of ethical issues raised by Hunter's personal business dealings. Meanwhile, Democrats were happy to complain that there was no there, while complaining about the Trump kids being never under the microscope. Now, here's the truth. Few want to tell you. His conflicts are real. It's a legitimate story. Even if there is no serious evidence, in my mind, to back up the most salacious allegations attempting to link President Joe Biden to wrongdoing, or at least ethical lapses by Hunter. Last week, we told you about Hunter's pricey art show, where 5 replicas from the amateur painter's collection fetched $75,000 each. Replicas. The originals are expected to sell for up to $500,000 each. Not surprisingly, the decision to charge that kind of money for a debut artist concerned many that the purchasers may have been looking for something else. The situation was only made worse when the White House announced that the identities of the buyers would be kept anonymous to both Hunter and the public, leaving it to the art dealers to sort out the ethical questions and filter out suspicious buyers. No matter how you slice it, it's a pretty bad look for an administration that claims to have the highest ethical standards of any administration in history. And remember, Hunter Biden is still the subject of at least one federal investigation into his finances. He's also connected to another investigation looking into potentially illegal lobbying practices by a consulting firm with ties to Burisma Holdings, the Ukrainian energy company whose board Hunter inexplicably sat on from 2014 until 2019. We now know that at least some of the material that leaked from Hunter's alleged laptop appears to be genuine. That should not come as a surprise to many who followed this story. Now, when Hunter was accused of arranging an April 2015 meeting between his father and a Burisma representative in Washington, the Biden camp responded with a carefully worded statement about the meeting not being reflected on official schedules. And now when the White House gets asked about anything Hunter-related, we tend to get answers like this.
I know this is your favorite topic. Did you have another question on something else? Otherwise, we're going to move on to some other topics.
Hunter's a bit of a walking scandal, from Burisma to his laptop to his recent art show. He seems to be sort of a magnet for controversy. So let's bring back Ben Schreckinger, national political correspondent for Politico, who has just written a long piece about Hunter Biden entitled "Hiding the Ball, Hunter Biden Complicates White House Anti-Corruption Push." He's also the author of The Bidens Inside the First Family's 50-year rise to power. Thanks very much for coming back on the show. We appreciate it. All right, so there's a whole range here of potential Hunter Biden issues, but all issues are not created equal. Of these various issues, and everyone's talking right now about the artwork, et cetera, that seems to me long-term not to be top of the list. Based on your reporting, what do you think should be the most concerning to the Biden family?
Well, thanks for having me back, first of all, Dan. It is difficult to say. I mean, clearly, the number one most concerning thing at the moment is the criminal tax investigation that, as far as we know, is still ongoing in Delaware. There's also a criminal investigation in Western Pennsylvania that was active as of last year. And as I reported on Tuesday, according to a former official who's familiar with that investigation, one focus of it, it's an investigation of a hospital operator out there. One focus of it is representations that Jim Biden, Joe Biden's younger brother, allegedly made about the value of his last name and connections in connection with AmeriCorps Health, that hospital operator. And as you said, there are a number of other issues outstanding, including whether there was a Joe Biden encounter of any sort with this Burisma representative, why we have this email in which there's apparent discussion of Hunter holding equity in a venture with a Chinese oil executive on behalf of his father, and the paintings, as you mentioned. So there's really a whole smorgasbord here of things that deserve scrutiny.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, first, let's talk about Joe Biden for a minute, because I think it's the most important issue here. I've said before that I don't see any evidence up to this point linking Joe Biden to any wrongdoing. Let's even assume for a moment that Joe Biden met with said barista. Yeah, it tells you what I'm doing too much of these days. Burisma, Burisma guy in 2015. Let's say he shook the guy's hand. He says hello for a minute. That doesn't seem to me to be the end of the world. I mean, the notion that somehow Joe Biden shaking the hand of some guy who Hunter got him to say hello to, I promise you, Don Jr. got many, many people to shake Donald Trump's hand in the course of 4 years.
That's right. And if there were an encounter, it wouldn't be the Teapot Dome scandal, as you said. And Joe Biden wouldn't be the only high-ranking official to have met with Vadim Pisarski, this advisor to Burisma. But it would renew uncomfortable scrutiny of this chapter in particular, Hunter Biden's work for Burisma, the problem that it raises that it can potentially undermine an anti-corruption message when Hunter Biden is working for a company under suspicion of corruption, when there's no real reason other than his connection to his father that explains why he was in that position.
So,
go on. Yeah,
you're one of the only reporters out there who's really digging deep on this. I should say one of the only, what I view as sort of credible reporters digging deep. There's some others, but are you getting a lot of pushback from people on the left in particular? Why are you doing this? You're just falling for the right-wing trap, et cetera, just because you are reporting on what I view as legitimate stories.
You know, I've adjusted my notification filter on Twitter, so I'm seeing less of the smash talk from both sides. The reality is, yes, when I was reporting on Donald Trump in some hard-hitting ways, doing investigative work, I would get hate mail from people, or even a nasty column in Breitbart or something like that. And my reporting on Joe Biden's relatives and their business dealings has gotten me pushback from liberal commentators and from readers out there. And it's unfortunate that we're in such a polarized environment, because certain things like conflicts of interest in government really are not partisan issues at the end of the day.
Yep. And you had a quote in your article from a woman named Kathleen Clark, a law professor in government ethics at Washington University in St. Louis, who said, even though this administration isn't corrupt on the same level as the previous administration, which seemed to embrace the corruption, the public has reason to be concerned. And it does seem that every time you talk about this issue, It's as if you have to say, yes, I cared about the Ivanka Trump story. Yes, I did. But can we stay focused on the, because, by the way, the opposite happens too, right? You'll be talking about something else and someone will say, what about Hunter Biden? What about Hunter Biden? I mean, what I appreciate about your reporting about this is it's level-headed. You are not doing this in a partisan way. It doesn't seem like you have an agenda, but you are reporting on a very important issue with regard to Hunter Biden. Now, final quick question, ties to China. How significant in terms of Hunter Biden?
Well, we don't know for sure if he's completely divested from a venture he was involved in earlier on in the Obama years. Jen Psaki was asked about this recently and was not able to answer whether he still had that investment. With regards to the CEFC venture, this more recent venture where you have this 10 held by H for the big guy, we don't have any indication that that went through. So it's unclear. Like many things related to this broader theme of Hunter Biden's business dealings, we just don't have all the answers.
And let's be clear, even on that big guy thing, that was when he was post-vice president, right? I mean, you're talking about 2017 at that time anyway. I'm not suggesting, and therefore it makes everything okay, but it didn't happen, and it happened in 2017. So anyway, look,
Correct.
I think that the facts are important here. I think that it's important to continue discussing these issues because you know what? It doesn't matter to me if the name is Biden or Trump. If there is potential criminal activity, if there are potential ethical violations, I'm going to discuss them, and it seems Ben Streckinger is going to research them and study them and report on them. So, Ben, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan, and sticking with the story.
Coming up.
All right. So I thought some of you might find that interesting. It's never ending with these people. It's like I keep saying, I don't know why we can't get better people than this. It just doesn't make sense that this is the best America has to offer, don't you know? Hello, caller.
Yes, hello. I'm looking for Mox News.
Uh-huh. You got him.
Hey, Mox, how are you today?
I'm fine.
I just wanted to ask you a question. Why is there this Walco guy who is advertising horse dewormer as a medication? He's a very unfunny guy, actually. I know he's the one that, like, calls you with nobody calling.
Oh, yeah?
Like
Oh, no, that's someone else. That's not Wilco.
He's also a nigger and a faggot.
Uh-huh. Maybe. I don't think so. It is possible. I don't know, honestly. We don't talk about that. It's really not important to me. Those kind of things have never been important to me. It's really strange when it is important to people. So I don't pay much attention as to, people's personal life. I don't really care. I don't want to know about it. Unless you're inviting me for a three-way, I don't want to know about your personal life. Keep it out of my life. Let's see. Where were we? What were we just talking about? We're talking about, these scumbag politicians. I still owe Jackie Cat a bong hit, so I want to get to that momentarily. I really do, Jackie Cat. And she's the only one I owe a bong hit to, apparently. But these scumbag politicians, it doesn't make sense that we can't find that America doesn't have better to offer than this, And it just seems really strange to me, Doesn't it seem strange to you that these are the best people to fulfill the most important job in the world? right? Or is it not the most? Maybe it's not the most important job in the world. The leader of the free world seems like, maybe we should get someone, authentic, with like genuine empathy, and knows how to make things happen, and doesn't need his diaper changed every 2 hours. How about one of those people? I think that'd be good. No offense if you have to have your diaper changed every 2 hours. I'm not meaning to sell you short. So, I have more videos. I can play more. I'm not sure if you want me to play more videos or not. I never really understand why you people tune in at all. But I do know that I owe Jackie Cat a nice fat puff. And I'm just a little worried this one isn't big enough for her, because she likes big ones, from what I've heard. So, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm good with it, and I hope you are too. Oh no, now it's going to be that guy who calls when nobody else is calling. Hello, caller.
Hello, Michael.
What's happening, G?
Not much. I'm waiting for my ramen noodles to cool down.
You didn't call to talk about Wolko, did you?
No, what's happening with Wolko?
Oh, well, we're hearing things that we did not know about him before. Nothing. Go ahead.
There's thousands of what they call frontline workers, that would be nurses and doctors, protesting in Quebec. That's a good thing. There's hundreds of thousands of...
Protesting. I love protesting. It's always a good thing. I think protesting is always a good thing. Always. 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 Go ahead.
They have a very extreme COVID pass system in Canada, and Quebec seems to be saying, fuck you. So that's a good thing. Hundreds of thousands of people all over Europe, and Italy's shut down its ports, all the roadways and all the ports. The truck drivers and the dock workers all shut everything down in Italy. That's good. And I'm looking at this, I'm on Twitter looking at this injunction that Southwest pilots filed against Southwest Airlines, saying they're seeking relief to restrain Southwest from interfering with the Federal Railway Labor Act protected rights of its pilot employees represented by the union. So apparently Southwest is trying to interfere, fucking with them legally, the pilots and stuff. I haven't heard too much about other airlines, but I haven't been looking. I've been working all day. So, I think it's good. I'm glad to see. I'm going through Twitter, man, just filing videos, more Italy. There's if you just go on no vaccine passports, you'll see everything. It's what do they call that? A hashtag. That's a hashtag. No vaccine passports.
Cool.
So, that's good. I don't, what's your thing? Let me see what you got going. Boom. What will happen to Mother Earth when humans go extinct? I personally believe the planets are conscious. So
Me too. I said that earlier. Sentient, a sentient being.
Yeah, and the sun. And I think I have no proof, but I'm not a Darwinian, a guy that says humans evolved from monkeys. I do not think we evolved from monkeys, and I think there have been humans on the Earth for millions of years. I think the pyramid in Giza was built a minimum of 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think there probably was some type of continent or large island that sunk, and that we call Atlantis. And there was other kinds of civilizations that monitored the stars, set up the tarots, were deeply into astrology, and I think we as a species right now, we've lost our soul, we've lost our connection to nature, and that is the solution. If we just connect with Mother Earth and nature. I did hear you say water's conscious. I do agree with that, obviously.
And there's studies about it. If you talk to water, it responds, from what I understand.
Right, yeah, and either way, either negative or positive, right. And so, am I worried about the human race? Yeah.
That's not the question.
Has things ever been this bad? I really don't think so.
Yeah.
I did hear you talk about starseeds, even though you didn't mention the word starseed. You know what a starseed is? You said you came here at this time to witness a very important event.
Something amazing is about to happen.
Yeah, well, that's what the starseed is a person who came here at this time to usher in, quote-unquote, the age of Aquarius. And, I'm not a foo-foo, woo-woo kind of guy. I don't talk this way very often. But, something's got to give, man. And I don't think we're going to go too much farther down before we start rising as a species. And I think there's enough to go around for everybody if we can get rid of all the greedy, evil, rich reptilians who live on this planet. And we just lube the motherfucking bendejo. That's all we gotta do. Lube the bendejo.
Okay, I want you to stop saying that, dude. Look, I don't want to curtail your speech. I don't want that in my head. I don't want to be walking down the street thinking, oh, gotta lube the bendejo.
I got a copyright on that, man. No one else can use that. I made that up.
You better go buy that domain right now.
Yeah, lubethebendejo.com. Everybody go there. So, yeah, man, I think, I guess it's always in the back of my mind that, we're in trouble and I need to personally act. I guess that's always in the back of my mind. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking right now. But am I worried? Yeah, I guess I'm a little worried. Am I worried we'll go extinct? No, I'm not worried we'll go extinct.
I'm not worried either. I can pretty much guarantee it.
Yeah, well, the weird thing about living in this time is that the good and the evil seem to kind of keep pace with each other. The stupid stuff and the progressive stuff keep pace with each other, and nobody's pressed the big red button and exploded Moscow or Washington yet, But
which is a little surprising, but yeah, go ahead.
But we do have we seem to have a danger that is the equal of nuclear blast going off in the city, and you know what that is. That's what I'm always talking about. I think we're in World War III right now, and I think this is a planned event, the Great Reset, and I'm glad to see humans kicking back, pushing back against this giant fucking rock that these creatures are trying to roll on humanity. It's like, man, we've had enough. We got this, we got this thing called the Constitution, and it's a really good, flexible document made for every time. Not just, they didn't give us the Second Amendment so we could hunt deer. They gave us the Second Amendment so we could stand up to our government. And people forget that. You can't hunt deer with AR-15. It's like, fuck you, man. I should be able to have a fucking cannon in my front yard to fight the government,
That would be pretty cool looking.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't shoot it off, but it would be pretty cool looking.
Well, you can shoot it off on 4th of July. Everybody come around to watch. At midnight, we're going to light this puppy up.
Yeah, just shoot a bunch of fireworks out of it. That'd be pretty cool. But, in Australia, they gave up their guns probably because of a giant psyop and some murder event. Woko or somebody would know about that. I don't know what the event was that made the Australians turn in their guns, but it had something to do with a mass shooting. I know that.
Yeah.
But we, as goes America, so goes the world, and so. And Canada is standing up. My paisanos in Italy, they're standing up. The French, 1 million people out in the streets. Surprisingly enough, Wales, that's northern England, Wales, they capitulated and they passed the passport mandates, which is very surprising. The Irish have done the exact opposite. It's like they're, fuck you, I'm not going to do what you want. So
You're not the boss of me.
all over the world, some societies are worse than others in terms of capitulation. And so let's just keep up the fight and the good work. And Faith Not Fear, that's the name of my new band, Faith Not Fear, at lupapendejo.com, .god, G-O-D, and I'm going to make sure that sticks in your head when you're walking down the street, Mike. That just means lubricate the stupid. Lubricate the stupid. That's all we got to do.
I don't want to lubricate anyone unless she's bent over.
So what's up with you? What's it, 8:30 almost? What are you doing, man? What's up?
I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to start some seeds and nail it down.
Oh, that's right. It's Friday. I forgot it was Friday. I'm working 3 jobs. Doing a tile job, a roofing job, and a stone job. So I'm a little confused. And tomorrow is Ojai Day. This is where all the New Agers go out in the street with their vaccinated arms and their gas masks, and they stab each other with crystals in the back because my guru is better than your guru. And I'm not going. I'm working. So, yeah. It used to be cool. Two decades ago, we used to have bands, shut the streets down, have bands in the street. It was cool. But now my town is gentrified, and all the people from LA came up here, and
9/11 changed everything.
Yeah. So, what did 9/11 change Seattle, do you think?
9/11 changed everything, dude. The entire music scene changed after 9/11. It's really fucked up.
Explain that. I don't quite get what.
Well, it was all grungy and kind of, everybody dressing down in Seattle, and then like after 9/11, it became like all kind of upstanding citizens, and kind of what's that? It was more yuppie-ish, I was like,
right, yeah.
Fuck, what happened? And I don't know if it's directly related to 9/11, but it started happening right after 9/11.
Fear. That's what it was.
All right,
People,
time to conform.
Yeah. I was listening to the statistician yesterday and the day before, and he was explaining to the host that 30% of the people believe the narrative, and 40% of the people just want to fit in, and they don't. They follow the 30% who actually believe the narrative, and then 30% of the people are awake, or to one degree or another, and they know there's something really fruitcake going on, and they fight. They completely doubt and disavow the official Ministry of Truth narrative that we're living through. So I thought that was a pretty good way of explaining it, that 30% of the people are lost, 40% of the people want to fit in society, and 30% don't really give a fuck. They just want their freedom and their life back to different degrees. I think you and I are way at the top of that 30%.
It's not my life I want so much. I have a really good life. It's I want the freedom back for everybody. You know, I want people to be not have to worry about if they're being listened to on their phone. I know they act like they're not, but it's still in their head. They know that that's what's happening, and it makes them act differently. And I think that that's, you know, holding back our entire species. So I want freedom. I want freedom, you know. And it's not me. Again, it's not me. I walk down the, for 20 years, as long as I've been living in Seattle. I walk down the street smoking big fat joint. I don't give a fuck. You know, doing donuts in the parking lot with my fingers. Whatever.
Where is that COVID pass going to go? It's going to go on your phone.
I don't have a phone.
Neither do I, but everybody else does. So it's going to go on their phone. So the phenomenon of cell phones, and everybody's got a cell phone, is directly connected to the Great Reset and to the COVID-19 pass, and it's not some accident. Nothing happens by accident. This is a way for them to control and monitor us, including our bank accounts, with the $600 IRS bullshit. So I'm going to get a phone, but only when I need one, you know, when I travel. I think the government monitoring the citizens to the degree that we've been living through is one of the worst crimes and one of the least talked about, most important subjects. If you talk about it, you know, you always talk about monitoring your daughter, monitoring every text and everything. But a lot of people seem to pass up that very important detail that they got you by the balls because they got your phone. They got your records, they got your texts, they got your photos, they got everything, you know. And so it's directly connected to the COVID-19 scam. It's a scam. I don't got a phone yet. I'm not in the high-tech universe, but I'm a fighter, and I want things to be better for everybody, and I want everybody to recognize what's important in their life. And it's not, you know, your selfies, and it's not your social image avatar or your Facebook page. It's your soul, and it's your freedom, and your bodily health also. So all those things are connected. Bodily health is freedom and soul. Soul is freedom and, you know, your body. So we're disconnected from nature. If we can pull back from this high-tech stuff, including the computers, not just the pharmaceutical, but the computers, and we connect with nature. How come they don't teach kids gardening in second grade?
I'd really like to know why they don't. They should teach it through the entire elementary school, through junior high. And then if you want to take classes in high school, it should be no problem. You know, 4-H club or whatever.
Well, I've been teaching kids of all ages gardening for a long, long time. And I'll tell you, a second grader digs it. He digs it more than a 15-year-old.
Well, because the 15-year-old hasn't been gardening all his life. And I'll tell you something else. If you were gardening your whole life when you're fucking, you know, from second grade up, like you're suggesting, like I'm suggesting, at 15, you say, okay, this time we're going to try a little something different, and you grow some cannabis. Every 15, that class would be overflowing, dude.
Yeah, and you'd be up there at the PTA.
Well, you'd be learning a skill that you could make a lot of money from too. Not, you know, selling on the, you know, underground or the black market, but, you know, I mean, there's professionals looking for talented gardeners everywhere now.
And not only that, you introduce them to that science, and it is a science. You know, by the time the guy gets out of high school, he might want to skip college and go into the hempcrete business because he loves architecture also.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of that. You and I both know it's not some obscene form of gardening. It's natural, you know.
Hey, when I say you're not eating enough cannabis, I'm not just talking about you people that are 50 years old. everybody is not eating enough cannabis. This is why there is so many things wrong with people. Is why they're so stressed out, why they're fucking, angry, why they live in fear. It's all because you're not eating enough cannabis.
Yeah. Well, free cannabis at Faith Not Fear at ludabendejo.com, and just include your post office box, and I'll mail it right to you. Pendejo, that's P-E-N-D, P-E-N-Pendejo, Pendejo.com.
You don't know how to spell your own domain? Come on, dude.
I'm stoned, man. So I'll
Good.
talk to you later, dude.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Take care, you too.
All right. I owe Jackie Cat a big fat dab. I am going to just heat up the bong and stop talking about it because she deserves it. No one in this group deserves it. No offense, anyone. Katrina. But Jackie Cat just And I wanted to say also that Jacob made a donation earlier in the week. And I really appreciate it. I didn't want to leave. I said Jackie Cat was the only one to donate. I was wrong. Jacob also donated this week, which is very nice of you. I seriously appreciate it. And I think I should do one for Katrina, too. I love that name, Katrina. When I first moved to Seattle, I had a girlfriend named Katrina. She was from Russia. What a wild woman. What a wild woman. She was bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Just like a tiger. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. See, now you got my mouth watering. What's wrong with you people? Katrina. Haven't thought of her for a while. Alright, so let's see. This one's for Jackie Cat. Almost ready. It's going to take a sec. I think it's not just, again, I don't want you to be focused on this negativity. I think, again, that we come here by choice, right? That there's, or a lot of us do. And I believe myself, I've said many times, I came here to witness an event because something amazing is about to happen. I don't know what that is. People say that there's this other planet that passes by the planet every so many whatever years, right? Passes really close by the planet. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But trust me when I say something amazing is about to happen. I definitely needed that. Thank you very much, Jackie Cat. You're so wonderful. All right, now I have two more videos left. One is of David Clark, who's I think he's a retired sheriff. He might be an active duty sheriff. And I used to enjoy posting videos of him because sheriffs have kind of this different kind of perspective on the law and policing a lot. So and sheriffs in particular, when it comes to the Second Amendment, they seem to be a lot more, land of the free-ish. You know, shall not be infringish. Fringish. I need another bong hit, people. Is Dabs for Donations Friday. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, right. I was going to play a video. Should I play a video? I don't really feel like playing a video right now. So, what shall we use to fill the empty spaces where we used to talk? How shall I fill the final places? All right, I have videos. I can do that. You don't want me singing all night. I know that. Because I can sing. I can sing, but it's mostly just for me. Right. And if you want to call, the telephone number is right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. Lines are open. You can call anytime. And it's always nice to hear from you. So, let's go, Jacob. I think we're going to have to do a video, a stream next week called Let's Go Brandon. I really want to do a stream called Is Fluoride Good for You? Because that's another one of these things where, you know, the government tells us that it's good for us. You need this. And I question if that's true or not. More weed, less population control. Less population control. More weed. You're not eating enough weed. The entire world is not eating enough weed. This is a big part of why we are where we are. If the entire planet, every single person, was eating a proper amount of cannabis every day, there's no way the world would be like this. There's no fucking way. So please consider that when I tell you you're not eating enough cannabis, because I am not fucking around, and we could change the world in just this way. If everyone was to eat enough cannabis, I can tell you overnight we would be living on an entirely different planet. And if they can mandate this, I can mandate eating cannabis. My cock for president, God damn it! I think we better start a campaign now. I'm going to mandate eating cannabis for every man, woman, and child in this country. It's for you. You need this. My cock for president. I think it's about time we begin that campaign. I hear people talking president all of a sudden. It's coming. It's coming, people. So, I like that idea. I'm going to start the campaign really soon. Because you're not eating enough cannabis. And maybe I could resolve that. A bong in every home and a hit in every bong. I promise you all. All right, so where were we? Right, not eating enough cannabis. Uber down by the river. Bong hit for Jackie Cat. Let's see. I guess I'll play the David Clark video. I'm gonna go heat up this tea again, and maybe we'll do a bong hit when we get back. I think that works out good. I take a bong hit and then giggle like a fool. Ridiculous ideas, like being president and mandating cannabis for every man, woman, and child in the country. And by doing this, we will set a pathway forward. We will set the example for all the other countries to begin helping their citizens become more healthy and happy and enjoying life by mandating that they eat cannabis also. I think this is a must. So, I'm going to play a David Clark video because I used to like listening to him, and you'll tell me what you think of this, maybe. I'll be back momentarily. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Glad you made it back, everybody. Vaccine mandates, they're applying pressure to Chicago's police department, which has already spread way too thin, as you all know. To the untrained eye, it seems like Mayor Lori Lightfoot is actually trying to destroy her city. Joining me now to weigh in is retired Milwaukee County Sheriff, President of America's Sheriff LLC, Board of Directors member for the Crime Research Center and Newsmax contributor, and the author of this book, Cop Under Fire, David Clark. Sir, thank you very much for being here. It's always a pleasure having you. You know, Chicago's Fraternal Order of Police Union president urged his officers not to comply with these mandates and not to and actually submit requests for exemptions. He told them to stay strong. Watch this.
It's the city's clear attempt to force officers to Chicken Little, the sky is falling, into compliance. Do not fall for it. Hold the line.
It looks like Chicago PD can add itself to this list of Americans who don't think their medical choices are on the board for government or big business or anybody.
Well, if Mayor Lightfoot is trying to destroy the city of Chicago, she's doing a fine job. But as it relates to the Chicago police, first of all, she does not like the Chicago Police Department. She does not like the Fraternal Order of Police, John Catanzara, at all. Look, John's a friend of mine. I was with him several weeks ago at an event, and I encouraged him to have the union, the Fraternal Order of Police, take the lead in this pushback against the city of Chicago. Chris, think how far we've come in this. At the height of the pandemic, it was the law enforcement officer, it was the city of Chicago police officer and officers all across America that answered the call, took the risk. It was at a time when Fauci said, don't worry about wearing masks, it's not necessary. These cops, if they're in two-person squads, were sitting inside a squad car. It's like a cockpit of an airplane. It's very small. You're sitting close together. There was no social distancing, but those cops answered the call. And by the way, there was no vaccine. And during that, they were heralded as heroes for taking that risk to keep their community safe. Now, all of a sudden, they're the villains. These cities, and Chicago's not the only one, New York as well, Milwaukee, where they're threatening law enforcement officers with their jobs if they don't take the jab. You have a complete 180 on this thing, from going from the risk-taking to, and you know, no other government employee had to do that. Teachers didn't do it. Other government workers, they got to work from home, for heaven's sakes. The cops couldn't socially distance. The cops couldn't work from home. And this is how they get treated. They get stabbed in the back. So good for John Catanzara. I hope he holds the line. As you said, Chris, Chicago police are very short-staffed. They cannot afford to lose any. This would be catastrophic for Lightfoot to try to suspend or fire Chicago police officers for not taking the jab.
Yeah, and let that be a lesson to everybody. No good deed ever goes unpunished when it comes to socialists. Lori Lightfoot, who's a racist, by the way, pushing back on the police chief and on the union, but she can't even protect her own city, as we've articulated. There's a bloodbath in that city, it seems, every weekend. And thanks to her and the Soros puppet, Kim Fox, and their pro-criminal policies, as of right now, half of Chicago's police force still unvaccinated. Sheriff, what do you think happens if they force this issue and half of the police force walks off the job?
Well, the city of Chicago is going to have to capitulate here. They cannot afford to have 50% of the Chicago police officers walk off the job. But that's what it's come to. The cops have had to make these kind of threats. Look, they didn't threaten to walk off the job at the height of the pandemic when they had no protection. They just went and did their job, for heaven's sakes. You think there'd be some consideration. You think there'd be some empathy. You think there'd be an attempt by Lightfoot and her officials to at least have conversations and try to work something out with the Fraternal Order of Police. But like I said, she's a straight-up cop hater. She cannot stand Catanzara, and she's going to do everything she can to try to get him to bend. But I'll tell you right now, I know John, he's not going to bend. He's not going to blink.
No. Well, Chicago is not the, as you articulated, Chicago not the only Democrat, socialist-run city suffering from these left-wingers. Newsmax's James Klug visited San Francisco to check out one of their Walgreens stores closing because of this organized retail crime that is going on, taking advantage, of course, of another Soros DA that refuses to punish criminals. Watch this.
Actually, as we were walking up today, we witnessed a shoplifter leaving the store. An employee inside said that they get shoplifted about 5 to 6 times per day. And before they started locking up their in-demand items, they were getting about 40 to 50 shoplifters per day.
In my mind, this shows the folly of voting for socialists. They side with foreigners. They side with criminals. What say you, Sheriff?
Well, they've normalized criminal behavior, otherwise criminal behavior, by watering these ordinances and these laws down to this, and it's had a devastating effect on business. Look, Chris, you know, these businesses cannot operate in this environment. Not only are their products at risk, customers are not going to want to frequent those stores. They don't want to get in the middle of this. These are dangerous situations. They can be. If some shoplifter flees, they're going to be knocking customers out of the way, knocking them over. So, you know, senior citizens, for heaven's sakes, you know, they're going to have to learn the hard way. But again, you know what? Especially in a city like San Francisco, they elected these people. They should have to live with them.
Sheriff David Clark, my friend, thank you very much. Appreciate your time on this Police Week. Up next.
All right, so Sheriff David Clark just said, you know, the guy asked him, what happens if 50% of the Chicago police are not on the job this weekend, right? And I'll tell you what happens, number one. If 50% of the Chicago police are not on the job this weekend, we will go live tomorrow and Sunday. I'm pretty darn sure. That being said, he said, Sheriff Clark said, he said, the city of Chicago is going to have to capitulate, right? And I really hope so, because and that's what I see happening. I talked about this. This is the mandate's going to backfire on them, right? I've shown you videos of the ferries being shut down in Seattle. It's not going to work. It's going to get worse. And if they let all of these people go off the job, I mean, they're going to shut down the ferries completely. They're going to shut down the police. They're going to shut down the fire departments. They're going to lose a ton of nurses and doctors and so many other people. The TSA, I played a video, I posted a video earlier today, played it last night. The TSA says 40%, this is what they say, 40% of their agents, TSA agents, are not vaccinated, right? So, again, first responders, right? They're right there in constant contact with the public, right? And my friend that I was talking about earlier in the beginning of the show, who just got back from Florida and was on the phone with him before the show started, and that's the reason I don't have many videos with you, because he needed to vent for like an hour. And I told you about, you know, he can't stand that rednecks are so friendly. He said, just like, they are just like the nicest people, you know, because he wants to like despise them for numerous reasons, I guess. But he just like, I can't believe how nice these people. Anyway, I digress. I told that story at the beginning of the show if you want to hear it. Now, talking about first responders, I mean, front lines people, you know, first responders, the TSA agents, right? The people that they come in contact with on a daily basis. My friend, flying back from Florida, had to fly to Dallas and then to Seattle, because that's the way it flies, right? So, on the way, no, he said, I'm sorry, he said he had to fly to Dallas and then to Florida, and on the way there, and then on the way back it was straight. So he said that on the way there, he got an aisle seat, and he said there's like this 90-year-old woman sitting on the aisle next to him, and next to her was her 110-year-old mother. And he said that the entire time, there's like 3 or 4 hour flight to Dallas. He said this woman is just sneezing and coughing and wiping her nose, right, with the same handkerchief over and over again, right? And and he said it was just like, he gets kind of like, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. You know, I was like, yeah, I get it. But that's not true. He loves people. He just doesn't like, the general public, right? So he loves people. He loves very arts people. Loves very smart people. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, easily. That being said, he flew there. 90-year-old woman sitting next to him, coughing and sneezing and blowing her nose the whole time, wiping her nose, and he said it just gave him the creeps the whole time, right? And then he gets there, and the guy sitting in, like, the woman jumps up, right, to get out of the plane, right, and he's like, oh man, this woman's 90 years old. She's got her 110-year-old mom, and she wants to try and be the people who get off the plane first. It's going to take her forever to get off the plane. She needs to set her ass down, right? This is what's going on in his mind. He's telling me, and he said the guy sitting in front of her said, hey, she needs help getting her bag out of the baggage compartment above her. You want to give her a hand? And he looked at him and said, no. And he said, what do you mean no? He said, the entire flight she's been coughing and sneezing and wiping her nose with the same cloth rag. Okay, her bags are covered in whatever her problem is. He said she stood up and said, it's not COVID, I have a cold. And he's like, does that make it any better? You think I want to die from a cold? Or get sick or whatever it is, And so he said, I'm not touching her bag. Whatever it is that's wrong with her bags are covered in it. She's been using the same cloth rag, wiping her nose the entire flight, right? And the guy just gave him like a look, like, well, who the fuck do you think you are? He said he just, he travels light. He just got off the plane and, which he said, you want to give her help? You go ahead. I'm not touching her shit. And this is what I'm saying about the TSA, right? They have to deal with these people all day long. So they're frontline workers, and they're on this deadline work. If you don't get it, you're fired, right? So they're on this deadline, frontline workers. So even after facing all these people for the last 2 years, right? The same kind of fucking, wiping their nose and coughing and sneezing, shouldn't be around any people on during the middle of a deadly plague, being confined in a little tin can, right? So they deal with this all day long, and so they've been dealing with it for quite a while, a couple of years, the plague now, and I find it fascinating that even after, right, the government keeps saying, oh, we need this extra push. So they do this extra push where they get like twice as many people to take the vaccine. Still, they're 40% shy. 40%, which is what they're telling us, 40%. If they tell us 40%, it's probably considerably more. And that's after they've been in contact with the public. These, some gross people, no doubt about it, and then they every day, over and over again, but they don't want to, participate in this. And now, still with the mandate deadline looming, they're like, yeah, we don't want to participate, and they're right on the front line every day. Does not compute. Nurses, police, TSA, firefighters. The list goes on. Ferry workers, they're in constant contact with the public. The list goes on. How can that be that frontline workers are like this? Doesn't compute. Anyways, I'm just saying, Chicago is going to capitulate, according to Sheriff David Clark. And this is what I really want to see, is I want to see government after government after government, local government, go, oh, well, we can't close down the fire department. Oh, we can't shut down the ferry. I want to see them give in, because then it will show how much power the people have. And again, it's not like all the people that have the power. It's this little amount, 25% here, 40% there, saying, yeah, I'm not participating. You're not the boss of me. This is the thing for me. This is what I've been telling people who think they're the boss of me since I was little. You are not the boss of me. You are not the boss of me. And it's just like, I think it's just probably a common response one way or another for a certain percentage of people. And it's so weird that I stand with the police. Like, all of a sudden I'm standing with the police. But I'm really glad to see all these first responders taking a stance. I had video of there was a protest outside Boeing today too. Like, they're requiring all the Boeing employees to get vaccinated, and there was just a fuck ton of people out in front of Boeing with picket signs saying, "My body, my choice." One of the signs said, "Let's go, Brandon." I thought that was hilarious. Gonna have to do a show with that title. Let's see. I have one more video, right? I have the Ashley Babbitt video that I published earlier. I can play that if you want. We're not getting any phone callers. I probably am about ready for food. I'm going to start a garden this weekend. I'm going to start seeds. I already have soil, which isn't really soil, it's cocoa. I have cocoa in bags. I've been letting it kind of air out a little bit for a couple days. I'm going to start seeds this weekend. I haven't actually decided which seeds I should start yet. I'm narrowing it down. I'm narrowing it down. Not really. But I'm going to figure it out here in the very near future. So, I got that. I'm telling you, I'm so jonesing to grow flowers, right? I feel like I'm this close to growing really pretty flowers. So I'm like, oh man, what do I want to grow? What do I want to grow? I feel like I'm this close to getting it right. It's been a long, hard road, really has. But I would be so happy. This is one of my goals that I've had since I was young, is I want to grow pretty flowers, cannabis flowers. I want to grow pretty flowers, and that was since I was like 15 or something. So fingers crossed. I got a really good feeling about this season, and I'm going to try and keep it busy. I'm going to try and do some garden updates on a regular basis, even if it's just like something we do in the live stream while I'm making a cup of tea. I go, oh, here's our weekly garden update or something, because one of the local shows that I used to watch would do a gardening segment. I don't know if it was like the Saturday show, or it seems like it was a regular thing to me. Like the noon news would have a gardening segment in it, and they had this guy who was just awesome. And he got his own show, and I was recording his show for quite some time. I didn't watch it that much, but he was all about growing stuff, I'll tell you that. And I kept waiting and hoping he would do a show about cannabis, but it's not legal to grow cannabis in this state, unless of course you have a doctor's recommendation. It's not a prescription, it's a recommendation. And I have one for the 18th year in a row. Woohoo! Okay, what's next? Nah. I'm trying to decide, Wilco, S1, I'm trying to decide. I'm going to grow a few auto flowers because I'm going to keep, like, I have 2 tents, I have 2 big lights, I have, you know, like a separate section in the one tent. So I'm just going to, as soon as I get these ones into the flowers, I'm going to start more seeds. And hopefully that's the way it's going to go. You never know how things are going to work out. Like I said, so far I have not grown the pretty flowers that I want to grow. But I have a feeling like I'm this close. S1. I have these, the thing is, I don't want to grow the regular seeds yet. I want to grow the first season I want to grow, or this next upcoming season, I'm going to pop the seeds tomorrow. I want to grow feminized seeds because I want to get it done. I want to get it into the flower booth. I don't want to, like, have to pick through all the plants and decide which ones I'm going to grow. And then after this one, I have some regular seeds that I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow the grape snow train, and I have a dark matter dragon. I think I'm going to grow those. Seems like the way to go. Really want to grow those. I was like, should I grow those now? Should I do it? Should I do it? And I'm like, stick with the plan, man. All right, I'm getting hungry. We don't have any phone calls. Let's see. Do I owe anybody a dab? Do I? Do I? Huh? Huh? Do I? Don't want to leave anybody out. No. So I'm gonna go get some food, everybody. Which means I guess we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back on Monday, same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is gonna end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of...
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.